guys.
A shit show, a pure shit show. It literally takes a village.
I don't know if it was dirty or clean.
Oh my god.
Bad mom.
Like
Gone
that
wild. Yes.
Because I'm shining.
Woo! That was good, guys.
Cheers.
Sip, Janelle. Janelle never sips after she cheers. So we have to remind her.
Oh, really?
Welcome. So today we have Mija here with us on the show, and she's going to be talking to us today and sharing her mission with us. So if you can, please introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us if you have kids, you're married, career, your mission. Give us a little
Sure. Well, my name is Mija Butcher Godfrey, and I am the founder of Jumbo Books. So we are a children's book subscription company, and what we do is we send our members 2 to 3 books each month that feature a child of color as the star of the story. All the books are fiction, and they tend to be race-positive books, so they don't focus on sort of overcoming hard obstacles that were placed in your way because of your race, but they're more about just the lives of children, loving grandparents, and loving fairies and dragons, and wanting pets, stuff like that. I have 3 daughters. One is 8, one is 5, and one will be 4 months old next week.
Oh my God.
Girl mom.
All girls.
Girl mom.
Yeah, yes. A girl mom for real. And we live in Atlanta, Georgia with, their dad, my husband. And, my husband and I started Jumbo Books because we really wanted to find some books for my girls that would reflect the world that as we know it to be, right? I didn't want them to think, when I see myself in a book, I am in a march. I am escaping from enslavement. I am trying to integrate a lunch counter. Like, yes, that is a part of your history, and it is an amazing history that you should be proud of. But also, it's totally normal for you to want to have green hair and, go diving with sharks. I mean, all the sorts of things that kids want to do in books. We wanted them to be able to see themselves doing things that weren't cabined and confined by race.
I love that.
Nice.
That's so cool. How did you become the co-founder of Jumbo Book Club?
Well, I really was looking for a service like Jumbo Book Club because my daughter was receiving books from a subscription book club that my father-in-law had subscribed her to. And the books were just all from like the 1940s and 50s. So they were definitely classics and books that you should read, but they just weren't representative of the world as we know it. And I did not want that for her, particularly because we live in Atlanta. There's a lot of minorities doing amazing things here, and that should show up in the books that you read as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And how did you come up with the name? What does Jumbo mean to you?
Jumbo is actually Swahili for hello and welcome. And so we wanted a name that explained what else we're trying to do is get people to build a bridge, to start a conversation. Start out with hello. We are a lot more alike than we're different. And once we understand that, we can learn from each other about our differences and appreciate them as opposed to being afraid and locking people out.
So what different races do you guys highlight in your books?
Really from all over the world. We have African American, South Asian, East Asian, Middle Eastern background, Hispanic, ethnicity. Am I leaving anybody out? Native American. The main issue is, what we're really looking for in the criteria is fiction book that takes place in an environment that a child growing up in the United States would understand and would relate to. So
Okay.
again, we didn't want our kids to think you can only thrive in a place that's not here, right?
Okay.
You should definitely learn about other parts of the world. You should learn about, China and Africa and all these wonderful old civilizations and great modern civilizations. But you should not think that that's where you need to go to be successful. You need to know that you can bloom right here where you're planted.
I love that. And so how did you guys start? Do you guys publish your own books, or did you guys work with authors and partner with them, or?
Well, we curate the books. So eventually we would like to move into publishing, but that would be a few years at least down the line. Right now what we do is curate the books. So we read books from all different publishers, from independent authors send me their books, and we try to find the best, most engaging stories that will really sort of spark joy in our membership.
You guys get a lot of submissions?
We do. And it's great. I love getting them, because some people are really not going to have the opportunity to get in front of hundreds of readers, but, I can offer that if the book is great.
That's awesome.
Nice. So how do you teach your kids to have empathy for others?
Well, I don't want to say, I didn't do anything for my oldest, right? My oldest is really, really nice.
Okay.
And she just is nice. Right?
I have one
of those. It's not something that I did, right? I want to take credit for it, but nah, she's just nicer than I am. But we do try to say, listen to what you said, and how do you think the other person understood what you said?
Okay.
One example that I like to bring up was actually my daughter and one of my close adult friends' daughters, who's older than her. So I think my daughter was probably around 4 or 5, and this other little girl's maybe around 8 or 9. And she is Indian American and white, and my daughter is Black, and she has hair like mine. And the other little girl said to her something about, hair like yours isn't nice, or you wouldn't want to have hair like that. And I was cooking, and I just stopped, and I turned around, I looked at her, I said, fix it. And I didn't want to make a big deal out of it so that my daughter would be like, oh my God, what did you say? Just fix it. And because she's not unintelligent, this little girl, right? Mm-hmm. She realized, oh, whoa. And she didn't want to hurt my child's feelings. Mm-hmm. So she was like, whoa, what I meant was, and she was able to fix it. And I think that we have to give each other space to do that, right? Because we all have said stupid things from time to time. Mm-hmm. And instead of saying, that little girl is terrible, or her parents must be saying awful things like that at home, if we could just give her a space to say, think about what you just said, now fix it in the moment for the person who was hurt by what you said, and then we can move on. And she's learned, and hopefully, like, my daughter wasn't, what I want to say, scarred for life by it.
Traumatized by it.
Again, right. And she loves her hair. So I don't think that she was. But I do think, part of what we're trying to do in Jambo is encourage people to have relationships across ethnicities, across racial lines, so that you can learn, and so that you can learn to talk to other people, so you can figure out where your own biases lie, because we all have them. Mm-hmm. One thing my daughter said to me was, she was in an after-school program, and she really loves Mulan, and she had met this little Chinese American girl, and she's like, I'm going to tell her about Mulan. And I was like, how would you feel if she told you about Tiana from Princess of the Frog, And she was like, oh yeah, I don't even really like Tiana. I'm like, I know, right? Like, ask yourself, why are you thinking that, she's going to be the only one that really likes Mulan? Yeah. So just things like that. If you just kind of bring it up. How does that sound? How would the other person take that if someone said that to you?
Uh-huh.
But like I said, she's easy. And the other ones are so young that they don't have empathy.
No. Well, I feel like that leads us to another question is how young do you start teaching them empathy? You know, because I feel like our kids are all very young and they all play so well together and they haven't started pointing out each other's differences, you know? And do we teach them each other's differences so that they could be more sensitive to it, or do we not and wait till they bring it up like, hey, you have different skin color than me, or you know, like what? I don't know.
You don't have to teach them. Okay, they see it, they know. And so if you never talk about race, if you never talk about people's differences, the kids just think that it's something that you're not allowed to talk about. And so it does more damage than good. It's important to say it's okay that thus and so, you know, has different skin. Isn't it beautiful? Right? Do you, like I just explained to my child the other day, do you know what melanin is? Okay, well, let me explain to you. This is what melanin is. This is why our skin is darker. And, you know, people who, you know, whose ancestors come from colder parts, they didn't need as much melanin. There wasn't as much sun, right? So they're fairer skinned. And it turned out over history in these systems that we live in that people with fairer skin were able to, through weaponry and technology, take advantage of people with darker skin. And to justify that, because you know somewhere in the very back of your head that we actually are all humans and equals, you justify that by saying, well, you know, people with those dark skin, they're not as good, they're not as smart, they have different brains, etc. But we cannot pretend that our children don't recognize it, because they do. I mean, the research shows that kids as young as 2 months old already start to have preferences, racial preferences based on who are their caretakers, right?
Oh, wow.
They're like, well, if you look like the people that feed me and change me and love me and hug me, you probably better, closer, someone I like more than the people who don't look like my caregivers, right? It's
Wow.
natural. It's how the human brain works.
Like
yeah, it's
similarity.
it's familiar.
Yeah.
And it's categorizing. Like, look around your room right now, all the different objects in your room. What if every time you encountered an object, you had to say, well, I think this is a pillow. Oh, I think this is a pillow. But your brain is like, okay, it's square, it's soft, probably a pillow. Okay, that round, hard, probably a doorknob. Like, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. And that is how children develop. That's how humans develop, right? And so we have to give them language. We have to say, this person is, I don't know if you prefer white or Caucasian or whatever, you know, African American, East Asian, South Asian. These are the parts of the world that these people's ancestors are from. But assume if the person is here that they're American. Okay. Don't ask them where they're from unless you mean what state. Okay.
What city?
Yes, exactly. What city, what state? But like, don't, where are you really from? Stop it. Stop it. But like, little kids don't do that. But if they see adults doing that, then they think it's appropriate, right? What we do with our books is we try to focus on race positive books, which are either books that, you know, celebrate, I'm brown and it's great, and look at my hair and it's fabulous, or they are just books with people being happy and loving and what we would just say regular, right? And sometimes the kids live in all kinds of different families, you know, grandparent-led, single parent-led, same-sex parent-led. Sometimes the kids have different abilities. You know, somebody will have like a sensory situation over here. Somebody else might be in a wheelchair over here. But just all of this is normal. If we can say the stories that we tell ourselves are what we learn is normal. The media that we consume is what we learn is valued. So that's what you put in front of your kids. And quite frankly, I mean, you all are on the West Coast, so it's a little bit easier. Know people who aren't from your background. Like, have them in your home, right? Like, be friends. Let your kids see that. You know, they know if you don't have any friends of other races and you're like, everybody's so equal and we love them. Okay.
But they don't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't see you doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And that's
that's true.
hard because adults are so afraid of being rejected and they won't like me. Well, you know what? Just give it a shot, right? Like, you know, like I use the example of swimming lessons. So where I live, Atlanta's a big town, but we have little neighborhoods like anywhere else, right? So my close by neighborhood is very white, and there's a pool that's literally a 10-minute walk from my house. But I was like, no, we're going to swim lessons. We're getting in the car. We're going to drive 5 miles. And we're going to go to where it's a Black woman teaching a bunch of Black kids how to swim. Because I don't want you growing up thinking that Black people don't swim and that Black people can't have their hair wet and all this stuff. You're going to get in that pool. You're going to jump. You're going to have fun. And it's going to be awesome. And, you know, you can do that and not be looking for your same race. You can be looking for different, right? Maybe your kid's interested in dance classes. Like, Indian classical dance is amazing. Maybe you have your kid try that. And then you learn something, and you as an adult will meet other adults, and you're not trying to come together to talk about race. You know, you're coming together to be parents of kids who want to learn to dance.
Yeah.
So those are like the kind of suggestions that I give.
That's those are good. Those are great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Those are.
I hate to go back, but do you let people recommend books to you? I know people can submit their own books, but if we found like a really good book that we're like, oh, it needs to be in your collection, we can do something like that.
Please do. Yes, I have some members who are like, so I was out searching for books and you might want to look at this. And it's great because I try to be everywhere, but I can only be like in 10% of everywhere. So the more eyes that are out there, the better for all of us.
Yeah.
Do you only do children's books, or do you do like chapter books, or like, you know?
Oh yeah, up through age 13. So we're talking like board books, picture books, beginning chapter, and then your middle grade novels.
Oh,
and
that's so important for the middle grade.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, because that's a tough time.
They're trying to find themselves, and you know, and it's hard for them to have empathy towards other people when they don't even know who the heck they are.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
I have one. That we're gonna have to get him a book real quick.
But there are so many great middle grade novels out there now that, again, are focused on lots of different kinds of people having different experiences. I mean, it's actually a really good time to be a middle grade reader. You know, certainly better than when I was a kid. I mean, we had really good books. Like, I love me some Judy Blume, but you know, it was pretty monochromatic.
Yeah.
And these books are not. They're fantastic. And one thing we do with our middle grade novels as well is you'll get the middle grade novel, and then you'll get a nonfiction companion book that expands on a topic that's talked about in the middle grade novel.
I'll have to look into that, because my son is he actually just started high school, but my family is very mixed. So my kids are mixed with white and Black. So we have a mixed family. So I think it's very important, you know, for them to know how important both backgrounds are.
Absolutely.
So it's good what you're doing. There's not a lot of books out there like that. So
no, it's true. And every book is not wonderful, right? And so, you know, it's nice to have somebody who has already read it. Like, I don't send any books that I haven't read, and who said, look, I think this is a good book. And for middle grade novels, another thing we do is we send a full parent summary. So you don't have to read the book to know what's in it. Yes, exactly right. For parents. So, and we say, look, it's just for parents because it's total spoilers. I don't want you to have to crack open the book. I want you to be able to say, okay, I read this 2-page summary. I know what's happening. There are suggested conversation starters that you can use to talk to your kids about the book. There is a section where we say these are topics that are covered in the book that you might want to know about. So death, divorce, bullying, discrimination, things like that. And we'll tell you, how that comes up. And then there's another list of related reading if your child is very interested.
Wait a minute. So you guys cover
I
all
was
of
gonna
those
say that you
topics?
cover those
Divorce. So not
topics too.
only is it, incorporating different races, but it's also those type of
Topics.
social topics.
Because that's real life, right?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? We're not just marching, right? Like we're living in families. Parents might be fighting. Parents might not get along with their parents. Like there are great books by Jason Reynolds, Renee Watson, that aren't really just focused on race. They're focused on the rich life of a kid and a kid coming of age, among adults who are a little bit wacky sometimes.
So can you explain the way that your subscription works? Like, how do you get your hands on these books? Do you have to order them in in a bulk amount,
yes,
and then you package them all together?
Yes, exactly. So what we do is we try to plan at least 6 to 8 months out. So we'll know what books are going to be coming up, because we have to get to publishers early to try to make sure that we can get the books delivered to our warehouse on time so they can be packed up and mailed to our customers. And you know what? If we send you a book you already have or you absolutely cannot stand, just let me know. You email info@jombobooks.com and we'll send you a replacement book. No problem. No questions asked. I don't want you to send me the book you don't want back. Pass it along, please. And enjoy the replacement book. So.
And did you have a background in like the publishing field and
Not at all. I'm a lawyer by training.
Wow.
I practiced corporate law for several years, and then I became affordable housing developer, which is the reason why I had done corporate law. But when I had my first child, I just decided to come out of the workforce, to stay out for a year, to be with her. And then I had the second one, and sort of life started piling on, and I did not go back. And I did not love practicing. So I said, let me find something that I actually like. I'm only going to come around this way once. So I really enjoy Jumbo Books, and I'm trying to get it to a point where my only real job is to read books. And that would be so awesome.
Right?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How long does it take after you subscribed to be shipped out your first books?
So we have to batch the shipment, so we'll make sure we have all the books at one time. So if you sign up in month 1, your box ships in month 2. So for instance, everybody who signed up in the month of October will be getting the November box. And if you happen to sign up early in October and it's a gift, we immediately send out a gift certificate, like via snail mail, to the person that you bought the gift for, letting them know that their box is coming the following month.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
can you pre-select and change the bundle, or is it always a set bundle for that month?
For the most part, it's a set bundle for the month. We would like to move to a model where we can let people choose a little bit more of their own books, but that gets very tricky just with respect to inventory and making sure you have enough books, again, from the publishers.
So would we go online and select our age group of our child, and then you have a specific bundle?
Yes, thank you. So you choose either 0 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 9, or 10 to 13. And if you have multiple children, you do a mixed ages subscription, where we'll send you a mix of books for the different ages. Like lots of grandparents and aunts and uncles do this. And even during the pandemic, people are reading the books to the kids via Zoom and FaceTime.
Nice.
Oh, that's cute.
And do you pick which category, like what you want, like if you're having trouble talking to your kids about, like if you're going through a divorce, do you have a section where you click like, okay, I need books talking about this, or is it just random?
It is random. Now,
Okay.
we do blog and post a lot, so do follow us on social media about different books on specific topics. So we'll have lists of books about, living in mixed race families, or a whole list of adoption books, or a whole list of books for, particular months like Native American heritage, or Hispanic heritage, or Black history, or Asian American and Pacific American History Month. Like, we'll have all those sorts of lists. I also talk about individual books sometimes that might be a little too real for a Jumbo book. Like, I'm very sensitive about sending stuff to people's sort of doorsteps and being like, this is for your kid. I hope you enjoy it. That's why for the older books, I send a full parent summary so that okay, stuff is happening in this book, right? And you can either decide, and you might want to say, you know what, Misha, can you send something else? I definitely had somebody saying, I think this book is too scary, like it was Jumbies, and we'd like something a little calmer for our kid for Halloween. Absolutely, no problem.
Misha, how can people get their hands on your books? Like, where, a website, your Instagram?
Yes, sure. We are at jambobooks.com. That's JAMBO books.com. And we are also on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram at Jumbo Books.
Awesome. And we'll link everything in the show notes. So thank you so much for sharing your mission with us. We definitely know you inspired some mamas today because you inspired us.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
This is perfect timing for the holiday season too. Get your hands on that subscription.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Misha.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you want to catch up on our previous episodes, visit mamasmimosas.com, where you'll get access to all of our podcast show notes, our YouTube videos, and our private Facebook group where we chat with you about each episode and host live Q&A with our favorite mom tribe. Can't wait to see you there.